Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and a new card making video. Today I am playing with felt to create some cute Valentines. I love mixing media on cards. So this all started with the Dainty Hearts cut and foil set. I am using the solid heart die from that top die set right there, and I used it to cut out hearts to make a heart garland piece. I had lots of leftovers from making this, and I thought I could use the negative pieces to create cards. Now, if you missed the video where I made that banner, I will have it linked for you below and at the end of this video. So you can see in the upper right corner, I cut the felt a little bit, die cut a heart. I actually needed 2 hearts from each piece, and then I had these scraps, and I just couldn't bring myself to throw them away. So I decided I would challenge myself to use them and create some cute Valentine cards with some fun texture. So let's jump into card number 1. I picked this piece of felt right here because I love this color. It's like my favorite. So that's where I thought would be a good jumping off point. I am creating a background using this scripted background stamp from Trinity Stamps. I inked it up with some crimson ink and stamped it on a pink panel. This is going to be the piece that goes behind the felt. So I have something fun peeking through those heart windows, and it looks just like that. Now, I decided I wanted to stitch this because I'm using a kind of fabric. I thought it would be really fun to have stitching on it. But first I wanted to tack it down to my card base. You know, I'm not going to pin this with pins, so a little bit of glue. This is the Crafty Gluefriend from Trinity Stamps, and it says right here on the bottle that you can use it with felt. I love it. So I did that, let it dry for just a minute, and then took it over to my sewing machine. I used red thread on top and really gave it a wonky stitch. Not really because I wanted a wonky stitch, but mostly because that's how I sew. I'm not the best seamstress, and I like a non-perfect look on a handmade card. So yeah, that's what we went for because it was the easiest for me. All right, there it is. I added a little bit of zigzag stitching in a couple spots, and I really love that look. It just adds to the wonky feel because you can see the felt is not cut straight. I cut it with scissors, and so it adds to that little kind of wonkiness. The stamps that I'm using is I Goat You from Trinity Stamps. I love the goats in this set, and I thought this set would be really fun for Valentine's. So I am stamping out 2 little goats, the socks, and a sentiment, and using Memento black ink so I can Copic color these, and we're going to do that very next. But look how cute they are. All right, so I put my panel, my felt panel, onto a craft colored card base, and so I wanted the goats to match that color. So I have some E43 here and E40, and just making these really light, and I really love this color combination. It goes really well with that craft card base, and it's nice and subtle. This is a really easy way to color. I did end up going over this a second time just to intensify the colors, and I love that look. And then I used a little bit darker E marker in E47 for the nose, and I decided to do the hooves that color too because they have a nice white spot on their faces, and they're really darling, don't you think? I think they're so cute. All right, for the socks, I have R35 as my darkest color, and then I'll blend that out with a little bit lighter color, and that is R24, I believe. Yes, R24. And then I've got some red socks, really trying to pull in the colors from my background with my images. So now I have a little stamp I'm stamping that's supposed to be like the clothespin, and I needed 3 of these for my card today, so I thought it'd just be easiest to go ahead and stamp them like so. Then it's time to die cut this out, and there is a die for every single stamp in this stamp set, even the little clothespin. I just love that. So I really like to take my time and go slow and make sure I've got that die centered around it so I get a nice even white border all the way around. But do you see here, there's even a die for the sentiment, and it like bubble cuts around it. Trinity Stamps is known for that, and one of the things I love about their die sets. So let's die cut these out on the die cutting machine. I use the Platinum 6 machine, and it works fabulous to die cut around these. And here you can see how cute they are all die cut out and ready to go onto the card. So for my card, I wanted to create a clothesline, which is kind of the look that this particular stamp set has. It's got the socks and the little shorts you can hang from a clothesline with the clothespins. So I'm going to make a clothesline on my card. I'm using a Crop-A-Dile here to punch through my felt and 2 layers of cardstock. I love it. And that's going to give me 2 nice holes in that I can then add an eyelet to. The Crop-A-Dile sets those two. You just squeeze it with the end and it crimps the back of it, ready to go. Now, this is very old school, eyelets on cards, but I love doing some of those older techniques. And so here I am wrapping some red twine around the eyelets, and that is going to be my clothesline. Really easy, simple, and cute. And I love the different textures. I've got the metal, I've got twine, thread, felt, cardstock. I love different textures on one card. That just makes me so happy. All right, so I'm adding a clothespin to each of the socks, and then I'll add one to the sentiment as well. And these are the things that are going to hang from my clothesline. I'm going to add them to that using a foam square, so they'll be nice and popped up and have a little shadow behind them. I love dimension using foam squares on cards. I love it. So the goats are getting popped up as well, and that is just so cute. This is a really easy layout to have a, kind of an image at the bottom, sentiment at the top, really easy with these 2 hearts. So I know I could use more of these felt pieces and make more cards. So this is the row of hearts die that I used to cut out 3 more felt hearts from some red cardstock and add that to the layers as well. And the glue works really well. You want to make sure it's a really light layer of glue, like a little bit goes a long way, just like we learned in kindergarten, right? And then just let it set and it sticks really well. All right, I have some Hint of Mint embellishments. Now these are a little bit more green than my background, but some of them are frosted, some of them are more translucent. The translucent hearts are going to pick up the color of the felt, and that will shine through, and they are the perfect little addition to finish up this card. But I wanted to add something to the inside as well. So I took the little shorts because they're so cute. They have a bite out of them that's shaped like a heart, and then I put I choose you. So we make a great pair. I choose you. Isn't that a fun and punny Valentine card? Plus all the different textures. I love it. So there is card number 1 with one of my felt panels. And I didn't stop there. I had to make another one because, like I said, this layout is so easy. You just can put 2 little scenes on there, a sentiment on one, an image on the other, and I'm going to do that with the Whale Done stamp set. And here's the felt it came from. This is 1 heart I did not end up using on my garland. I just didn't need another blue. So I am going to utilize that negative piece anyway, and I have a hot foil plate here that looks like waves, also from Trinity Stamps, and I'm going to use some teal foil on this it's like a grayish light blue cardstock. And then while my glimmer machine is heating up, I decided to trim off any excess foil there, and then I can lay this on my hot foil machine. You're going to have to fit it on there so nothing hangs off the plate section, and then go ahead and run it through. Now, if you're not familiar with hot foiling, I have a ton of hot foiling videos right here on my YouTube channel. I will have that playlist linked for you at the end of this video so you can watch that next if you want more ideas, more inspiration, tips and tricks and all the things hot foiling. All right, so we just need to hot foil this twice so it covers the entire panel. This is the piece that's going to go behind my felt heart piece. So yeah, I'm going to do this 2 times and it gives me the nice wavy look. And you could use this plate, oh my goodness, for so many things that you probably already have. Mermaids and little sharks and octopus, yeah, it's a great hot foil plate to have. Okay, so we glue that down. I wanted to show you a different way that you could incorporate stitching on this without having to use a sewing machine, and so I will show you that after the glue dries. And while it's drying, I have this border die set from Trinity Stamps, and it has this teeny tiny scalloped edge, and that makes me so happy. So I'm just cutting off the edges of this red panel, and this is going to be one of the layers on my card. So look how cute that is. The tiny scallops, I love them. All right, so we'll glue that down, and then you can see how cute the scallops are peeking out on either side. It just added a little extra something very Valentine's-y, I think, having those scallops there. So I'm taking the paper piercing end of my tool here, this is the pickup tool, and poking 4 holes in 3 different places, and then I can use some twine to stitch a little X, and that's going to help hold the felt down, but also gives me that element of stitching on this card in a different way than actually using a sewing machine. So I just wrapped the thread around the end of my needle 3 times, pulled the needle through, and I have a knot at the end. And now I can start stitching. And this is just the easiest thing you could do, going from corner to corner and making an X. Very simple, and also adds that extra little cuteness. I always say that love is in the details, and this is definitely one of those details you could leave off, but look how special it looks with it on there, right? So I always say, if you have an idea like, ooh, I should try that, you should try it. You should do it. If you have the idea, don't shrug it off. Give it a try. Okay, so I made it long enough so I didn't have to cut this off. So only on the last one am I taking a few extra stitches to create a knot. I taped those knots down, and then anywhere that the felt was a little bit loose and didn't have stitching, I just put a dot of glue. And remember to do just a little bit so the glue doesn't seep through the felt if you have some lightweight felt. Okay, let's do the stamping. I am stamping out the whale and the little like spray, and I didn't stamp out my sentiments because the first time I used this stamp set, I stamped them all out and die cut them all out, so I had a bunch left over. I didn't have to stamp one out for this particular card. All right, so Memento black ink again. We're going to do some Copic coloring, and I have to say, coloring this whale is so much fun. The first time that I colored him, I used gray, but I thought this time he needed to be a little matchy-matchy with my card, so I'm coming in with some kind of blue-green colors and coloring him in. This BG78 is so good. I love this color. And this is my darkest color here that I'm using for the shadow layer. And then I can come in with my midtone, which is the color that you really want this to be. You have your shadow color, you have your highlight color, and then my midtone is always like the color I want it to shine through the most. And that is the BG09. So I'm doing that, and then I'll come back in with my lightest and kind of softly blend that all out, leaving the highlight at the top of the whale and the top of his fin. And then for the tail, I'm coloring it in with my lightest, and then I'll bring back my darkest and my midtone and just kind of trace over the lines that are already there. And I love how that looks. It just takes kind of the guesswork out of coloring it, and I think it has a great look with the nice highlight in between each of those lines. So good. Okay, for his belly, I am going to do gray. So I'm starting with N5. This is going to be my darkest color, and I'm again going with those lines that the stamp had for me and using that to decide where my shadows go. So again, it just makes for easy coloring. And then I have my midtone, which is N3, and then I'm just kind of making the gray area bigger using this marker, and then I can bring back my lightest color and really get to work blending those out and extending the colored area. So this is N1, and look at that, it really softens it out and gives you a nice highlight. I did go over this 2 times doing the exact same thing. I just needed to intensify it a little bit more so you can see the end result, what it looks like right there. Now it's time to die cut this out with the coordinating dies, and there you can see all my sentiments I have, and I chose the one that seemed most Valentine's-y. I will always love you. Very cute. And again, just taking my time with my dies to make sure I've got the images nicely centered in that die cut. And then I've got the nice white border all the way around. Okay, let's stick the little spray right to the whale. I guess you wouldn't have to, but it kind of looks like it's supposed to be the blowhole and the spray, so that's why I did that. I'm using my white gel pen to clean up a couple little spots I went out of the line, but then also add some white highlights. Now for this image, when I imagine the whale, I picture kind of he's coming up out of the water and like bubbles are all over. And so I felt like that's what I was doing with the gel pen here, and I just had fun giving out all the nice highlights. Okay, so when I stick this to my card, I am using a mixture of foam squares and glue so that I can tack it down in the opening of the heart, but he's so big, he's gonna extend outside that area. And then I'm adding a little liquid glue to finish holding that down where it needs to be tacked in place. Here's my sentiment on a red strip, and I am going to flag cut the ends. So this is really easy. Just snip up the middle and then snip from the corner to the top of your first little snip there. And I did that on both sides, and quick and easy little banner is ready to go onto the card. So we'll glue that in place. I could have popped this up, but I decided not to because I'm going to do some embellishing. These are the cinnamon red hearts from Trinity Stamps. They are in different sizes, and they have some that are a little more frosted, some that are more clear, and I'm adding those right to that little spray of the blowhole, and then some's going to extend out past that, and that's where I'm helping really tie in the red on this color. I didn't realize that I was making a red, white, and blue Valentine, but nonetheless, it works. I think it works anyway. When I glued this, I made sure I put some glue on the back of that thread to really help hold this down. Also, I am going to end up cutting this card down because my panel, I actually did already cut the card base down. The panel with the felt was only 5 1/4 inches long, so it didn't quite cover an A2 size card. But once you have this in the envelope, you'll never know unless you put it side by side with another A2 size card. But I think it's totally fine to make a custom size if it's a little bit, you know, smaller, and it has to suit the things that you used. So there we go. Card number 2. I will always love you. Ready to go. I think both of these cards turned out great, and I'm loving felt on cards. I haven't done this in a really long time, and I think it's something I would like to incorporate on a more regular basis. I think it's so much fun. So tell me what you think in the comments below, and I will see you guys all again very soon with a new stamping video. Happy stamping! Bye!